haven't got a clue really about what Jesus is going to talk about, but I can see that when we really trust him to be our voice, everything that needs to be said will appear. The voice of infinite. That allows us to be completely spontaneous, no planning whatsoever. In honesty of God and the light of infinite being that we are. Does God plan anything? Let's look in that light. Oh, to be plan free, Lord. Let's look at light. Does light have a little schedule and a plan in there? I might have told Renee this or mentioned, like, we were talking about mystical experiences, and I've said this before, and you can hear Jesus tell you this now, that when I was asking him about mystical experiences, he said, you're always having a mystical experience unless you say no to one. Because mysticism is union with the Father, the recognition of union and communion with the Holy Father, constant state of communion. So only through denials. I'm asking, are we talking about? Yeah, he says, yes. Okay. So what do you and say? Infinite love doesn't have a limit on what things look like. See, consciousness wants to play like it, what we see and form or what we hear is it. And Jesus is thankfully here to tell you that ain't it. And I was talking about would seem to be, actually when you have mystical experience, and I've said this before, like you won't even know you're having, because we're so used to the mind, to the wrong-mindedness and that chatter. It's like when we do have a mystical experience, because we're always mystical, because we're God first. Ask the light, am I always mystical? Is the light going, no, you're not? You're light. So the play is not to be mystical. And I remember one time, so I was such a planner. I've said I was a strategic planning facilitator. God took care of that. And Jesus, like, but I just remember I had this experience. I had to have a mighty companion had to tell me you're in mystical experience, meaning the mind was dropped. Like, I was going to the store, and the one who liked to make lists could not make a list. It was like abjectly impossible to make a list. Like, how am I going to get in? All the thoughts were like, how am I going to get through the store without a list? You could see that dependency. Oh my God, if I don't make a, let's ask Jesus if we have to make a list and check it twice. No, that's like Santa Claus. There's not even a Santa Claus, but we would make that up. Making a list. No, because we have that voice, that infinite voice will deliver out everything we need to know. When we need to know it, just ask light, ask love that. Jesus, will you tell me everything I need to know when I need to know it? And right spot on in that second. Yes. See, such a desired experience that we don't know ourselves well enough that our own voice is always speaking to us. Jesus, is there a desired experience below my level of awareness for an experience of not knowing my own voice? And is there a desire for an experience that I don't know that your voice is not my voice? Wait, that I don't know your voice is my voice. I'll come back around. That your voice is my voice. That's why we fight Jesus, because it's our own voice that we don't want to hear. And then we put a little concept that he looked like this. But it can be a helpful symbol to focus on, to remind us of what we're here for, which is the recognition and celebration of infinite light exactly like it is. Totality here. And to see is so beautifully expressed in that beautiful joining today on the Joker. How we're seeing, he's right. We don't, consciousness, however the play, doesn't want innocence whatsoever. Jesus, let's just ask him, clear that up. Do I desire an experience of not being innocent? Well, even while I'm innocent, I know I'm innocent. Jesus, do I actually know I'm innocent? Ask him. We're insane. The meeting of the insanity meets again. Addicted, it's the addiction to consciousness meeting. But it's a happy meeting because this meeting is dropping the drug of pleasure and pain. That's what this team's doing together. This team is setting the dial to infinite supreme happiness. And just joining and joining and joining and until you see what's already joined can never be unjoined. Salvation. That was today's lesson today. The court. Jesus was calling us all into the higher court. The last judgment. And at the same time, we're going to go see Joker. Is that like the best or what? Is like divine timing? Is Jesus's timing the best timing there is? Ask him. He show us that his timing is the only timing there is until it's seen that there's no time whatsoever. As we're joining together, you're going to see, he's telling me, you will see that I'm going to arrange time and space for you more and more because you're opening to the allowance of me doing all the time and space for you. Ask him so you can hear him tell you that. Jesus, are you arranging time and space for me? So you'll see that there's nothing more valuable than spending the time with me, Jesus, to clear these denials, that there's no greater use of time. And that you can hear my voice and as clear as a bell. Many of you already have for a really long time. It's like me, I didn't want to admit, no, talk about Jesus. I just as soon hide under a bed than tell anybody I was studying A Course in Miracles. Well, I'm just saying. I didn't even know that voice was Jesus's voice till he appeared. I mean, probably been hearing him long before the course, because we've all been hearing him long before the course. Ask him, Jesus, have I been hearing you since long before the course? He says, you're just starting to listen a little better to me since the course. Because you listened to me and you took the course. See, it's a required course. Okay, Jesus. Yeah, but he was talking to me for a long time. But it was like that opening, that crack that we give him, that little bit of willingness. He's like, willingness is the lesson today. Everywhere I look, there's willingness. See the willingness. Okay, Jesus. See the power that willingness carries heaven. The power of God. Willingness is honesty of God, willing to see it differently. And you don't need to have taken the course to see that you're willing, because if you start looking with him and he starts showing you and reinterpreting those memories where we thought God was gone, where we decided to give the light the boot out of awareness. They'll start showing you all the places you were following. See what happens, the times that we're really listening, get all inside the kerfuffle of all the memories and everything. That's the mask. That's the mask play of consciousness to hide all the time we are following that voice. Ask them, Jesus, is that kerfuffling a means I'm using to hide that I can't hear your voice and have heard your voice already? Clear as a bell. There's just willingness. And we see that we've heard him, but he doesn't always reveal that it's him you're speaking to, because he knows that most beings do not want to speak to him. And is that true, Jesus? Most teachers of a course do not want to speak to Jesus. Just ask him, he'll tell you. Because of that image that's hold, because that not speaking to Jesus is holding on to a piece of personal identity. Ask him, Jesus, if I'm not willing to speak to you, does that mean I'm hanging on to a piece of personal identity? But he's willing, because we're willing, and to convince us that we can hear him. And that's why we're together again, and joining, constantly joining, listening and speaking, listening and speaking. That's all this joining is for, is to practice speaking his voice as your only voice, because there's no one to speak to. There's no one to speak for. It's just God speaking and seeing that you are God's expression of divine love in totality, exactly as you are. No one to talk to except for God and your brother. So I told this story, like, I didn't know about God, and I've said this before. And when I went in to coach, I was going to be a better coach. I was a hero of the dream, but Jesus quickly fixed that for the hero of the dream story. I'm going to go into prison and I'm going to coach and show them this coaching stuff really works. Which was helpful because it was mind training. It was light training. That whole experience, when I look, it was total light training to get over the fear of my brother, to step past the fear that my brother of all the play in consciousness that plays out seemingly, the Joker is, we're all the Joker. Going into that prison, I remember, he's saying, okay, so, so this was, I was going to go to the prison. I call him up. Yes. Can I come in? Can I come in and teach this Tony Robbins Get the Edge program? I called him up. This has to be the Holy Spirit. Who's this person calling out of nowhere, right? And then, yes, of course you can come in, but you have to convince them all. You have to convince them all that they want to participate. We'll set it up for you. So this was so for me, you start seeing how Spirit's setting you to really look deeply at all those beliefs and denials of divinity through the beliefs. But anyway, so they set up the day, and it was small women's prison. The first prison I went into, small women's prison. There were only about 44 women in Milwaukee County Women's Correctional Institute. And so I went down there, and it's a Saturday morning. See, their only day off. And I'm sitting down there, and they said, okay, you can go wait in the cafeteria down there. And I was sitting down there, and it was basically some girl came up to me and, now how's this for reflection? Who the hell are you? Something like that. That was a reflection in consciousness. They were no happiness. But there's something that took over. See, I didn't know that was Spirit taking over when I went into, like something just came through, and you see this like in times in your life, like something came through in that session. I can feel the love in it now. I don't know what took over, but if you're willing to come, and see that these stories basically about how stories are untrue and how beliefs are untrue. And oh my gosh, what a wake up call that was with Jesus. But I didn't know it was Jesus at the time, but now I see he was with me, pointing the way. And I cried the first class. I just cried the whole way home. Well, because it was intense, because of the belief that emotions are true, and the intensity, of all in myself. It was a reflection, but I didn't see it at the time. I thought, God, they're really unhappy. See, you don't see that. It turned out to be, they saved my life. What can I say? Because it was all about these one-on-one coaching sessions. So it was joining to see what was true. It was not, it was just joining and to see that the storyline's not true, basically. And that no matter what had happened to a being, was such good mind training, because of course, seemingly informed, those women had had all kinds of experiences, seeming unformed, rape and, horrific things. I remember one woman, oh my God, Rhea, I love you, or wherever you are out there. Thank you for saving me, being my savior. But Rhea came in. She was like the feistiest thing. Oh my goodness. But she had been, she had scars all over her body. And she had been burned when she was little. She was 16, I think. Someone threw hot boiling water on her. So I said, okay, so we can just look at this together. And there was just ways of looking at it through NLP. Many beings that come to this have come through neuro-linguistic programming, and you can kind of rewire it. It was a starting way. Spirit was showing me that it was all perception, and how you can just change perception totally. And so it was amazing in how the spirit just comes through and helps you to see together that none of the storyline was true. And it was like it was amazing. It was like in the middle of it, she's going, no, he raped me. So suddenly it was like, okay, he raped her. Where did that come from? In the middle of clearing out the whole storyline. And because the spirit had trained me, right, to stay present, stay true, that the light is there. Now, I didn't know it was the light at the time, but the spirit was teaching me about light at that time. And it was like 20 minutes. And it was like, she's going, it's done. I'm clean. Nothing. All the storyline just completely like of that whole experience gone. What a gift from Jesus, showing me that any storyline can go when we choose it. And she wrote this most beautiful letter about, she used to use her scars, to hide all the time, and how her scars became the badge of courage, of an expression of her heart. She was just totally at peace with it. So many lessons for us through our brother. Especially in those coaching sessions. Oh, Jesus, boy, he came. But it's that little willingness, because to see it another way. Do you see? I could see that it was over time. He started showing me. I didn't see it actually till I left prison, that it was for me. Till I was coaching for about 7 years in men's and women's prison. But what a gift. I can't even begin to tell you how much fun I had in prison. And what a metaphor that is for this world, to see because everywhere the body went, I was seeing no error. Do you see that practice? Seeing no error, no matter what came in through that coaching door, to always look toward the light, no matter who showed up. I told this story about this woman that came in. I hadn't been coaching that long. And she comes in, and I said, well, what do you want to work on today? because I told him you can just erase the tapes. See, Jesus was showing me how you could erase the tapes of perception. Any storyline could be erased. And she said, well, I just keep having these movings of stabbing my boyfriend. 7 times I killed him. And so it's like, okay, well, and there was a moment, and I've admitted this, a moment where I thought, man, well, maybe she needs to suffer. Maybe I shouldn't help her. That was the thought line. But something inside, see, we all have this, something inside of us knows. Something inside of us just knows, wait a minute. And that was like the opening to really listen. And I could hear this voice say, no, if that happens, if that's kept, that guilt, it'll repeat. Can you see how the Spirit will start training? The minute your mind opens, that voice will come in and you can start thinking, and he's going to show you all the times where you heard that voice and that it served no function, that guilt serves no function as long as the perception of guilt is still there. It's that service of the light. That's what I see now in this. That's what kept me going, even though I'm crying, because it was about an hour to Madison. I'm like bawling the whole way that time. But there's something that keeps you in the game, with Jesus. There's something, even though if you don't know it's Jesus, you don't have to know it's Jesus. These light circles are for anyone. They're not just Course in Miracles. They're for anyone who wants to hear the voice for God within them, to see that they can hear it. We can all hear it. But it was through my brother in the prison. Do you see how this works? Who taught me that everyone can speak the voice for God. And everybody, and you could see that call to love in everything. It was always, no matter what it was always, but even before the Course, it was always that call for love. But now I understand, and I get it totally, Jesus. There's no one outside me to have a call for love. It's only the call for love here. The call for love's within myself. And to listen for the answer, always to be reminded. Until it's seen that love just is. And it's always in communication. The call for love comes because the denial of full communication with the Father at all times. It's a denial that we're always in communication with the one who knows. So it's only a choice to hear. He's reminding me another story where he starts using your memories to remind you of what you truly see, that you didn't see at that time fully, how it's all for you. And this is such a great reflection. Like, even when you don't think you were hearing him, the God is moving through you. And that's a really, really good thing for him to be showing. That's what he's showing. That's what he's saying. He's saying, I'm going to be showing you all the time God moved through so you can remember, because it's going to be covered over in consciousness. But what ended up happening, through continual coaching, right? And you're learning to listen to intuition through that. It all became about love. It was always, everything's about love. So I remember it was like about 2 weeks. No, it was either the first or second week in a class. And by that time I was coaching at a men's prison, Oak Hill Correctional Institute. And oh my gosh, it was too much fun. I thought it was going to be really, oh my gosh, can I do this? That's how the ego is. Can I go into prison? But thankfully I had upright mighties who said, no, of course you can do it. Go ahead, go in there. Okay. So I'm sitting I guess I'd had a couple of classes, so I was getting pretty brave by that time. Where you get really sassy too. That was fun. But, because you get their number, and their number, not one number, is love. Everyone's number is love. So in the play, I was standing up in front of the class, and they only let you have about, I think I could have 18 or 20 in there at a time. And I'm up in the front and I'm telling them about what the class is. And I said, look, you guys are big hearts with little feet. Where did that come from? Now, this is seriously, in the ways of the world, you could see this, how Spirit was teaching you to bypass everything. Cause I'm thinking to myself, what am I saying? Because they're looking at me like, these guys are in there with tattoos. They got bullet holes in there. I'm serious, really, scars from being shot. They were bad boys. These are bad boys. And in the ways of the world, pure innocence. They're so innocent. Oh my God, I just fell in love. Every class I fell in love. That was for me. But anyway, and they're looking at me like, this is such a good reminder. You must follow the Spirit because you will have so much fun. Really, really, really. Oh my gosh. So the Spirit, the only way to see is just to go ahead, even when you think, oh my gosh, what am I saying? You got to go all the way. So I said that, and some of the guys came up to me and said, boy, we thought you were nuts. He told me. But we were fascinated. They were kind of fascinated because I was kind of crazy, but going in there. But 6 weeks later, at the end of the class, they gave me a little card that said, with the heart on it, they drew it themselves, a big heart with little feet on it. Come on, open it up to a kind-hearted woman from your big-hearted men. Take me to church, Jesus. And he's reminding me, I know you set me up for something, Jesus. Set me up for something that's going to happen. I got to say yes to. He's no. But we have to take those steps and really seeing that we can hear him, that we have heard him really well. And we have to step into those. He's really talking about that for this loving team to support each other in hearing. He's going to give out assignments because we need those assignments. Ask Jesus, do I need those assignments from you? We do. We need his assignments because we're so used to taking the notes from the devil. As someone said so beautifully in that session, they said so beautifully, I can see myself. I think it was Kelly, right? I could tell I'm still walking down the hall to go into the prison, go back into the other courtroom instead of God's courtroom. I'm walking down there and open, but at least we see we're doing it. Do you see? Before we just thought, okay, that's the way things are. But now we can admit that's honesty of God. We're taking a walk down the hall to hell and relishing it. Ask Jesus, Jesus, am I relishing? That's so humbling when you start seeing, oh, I do relish that. I really relish sitting in the courtroom of hell. Ask him, do I relish that? And having those talks with him, like I was talking, okay, Jesus, just show me everywhere. That was such a good talk today where everyone's talking about not seeing innocence, like Janet. Oh my gosh, you see that gift. Okay, Jesus, show me any little smidgens where I do not want to be innocent. Jesus, let's ask him. Jesus, is there any desire not to be innocent? And you go with him till he tells you no. The desires are gone. Do you see the gift? Boy, you start collecting those gifts from your brother. Giving and receiving are one. See? It's like your ears tune in. They go like this when your brother starts to talk. Because Jesus is sending over that messenger that you just like, Like, but I can start to see, like, there was a time I didn't want to hear what anybody was saying, because my thoughts were the most important thoughts of all. Well, I'm just saying. You start catching that. But now Jesus's thoughts, see what he says is the most important. And to have brothers together who value it. I don't know how he's doing that, but it's really helpful. He's like, there, you see, it's like a convergence into the light circles. Like, we're going all the way, supreme happiness or bust, someone said. We have to just we don't have to bust, he says. We have to let off the steam, let him show us where we're, because we are like kegs. Ask him, are we like kegs of pressurized, ready to blow up stuff by holding on to desire that's not natural? Am I going to feel like I blow up if I hold on to desire? Ask him. Jesus, I have a desire to hold on to desires. Jesus, that's a good one. Jesus, do I have a desire to hold on to desires? Mm-hmm. These light circles are going to get funnier and funnier. Really, he's telling me. You're going to be laughing so hard together. Tears of joy that it ain't true. Tears of happiness that it ain't so. And we laugh like loons sometimes here about it. Because it's funny, because we see, oh, Jesus, I did really want to say no to myself. I didn't want to see my brother's innocence, meaning I didn't want to see myself as innocent. Jesus, do I not want to see that I'm innocent? Can you show me any little dark spots in there where I'm trying to hold on to guilt? It's like playing the guilt slot machine. You pull it and then it's going to pop up somewhere at some time. He's just trying to take us to the basement. In below, we can call it the basement. There's nothing to call it. The play in consciousness below our level of awareness, outside of our level of awareness, to show us what we're denying. The desire to deny that we're denying divine light. Jesus, do I have a desire to deny that I'm denying that I'm light? Okay, show me that desire to deny that I'm denying. See how he's clipping out a level, because he's coming in and saying, I'm admitting that I'm denying the light. So it takes out that level of denying the denial. So oh, this feels really good. Thank you, Jesus. Oh, so much love in this. You get those Jesus cuddles. So let's just ask him, Jesus, is fear a denial of the denial? See that play? This is why you're not going to be afraid of him. When you start looking at this, it'll ask him, Jesus, will this completely take the legs out from underneath fear? This kind of looking with him. You won't ever be afraid. If you look with him with this, you won't be afraid, because then you just see, oh yes, okay, you're right. I just need to see that Jesus was right once again. Ta-da. So see that fear is a denial of the denial. Okay. Are emotions a denial of the denial? And hear what he says. Is the story a denial of the denial, trying to cover it over so I won't look? Jesus, am I using fear as an excuse not to look? So we can see that play. Not to look to see that it's nothing. You can ask him, Jesus, are you going to show me that it's nothing? Nothing to get hung about. Strawberry fields forever. Yeah. Everybody. You'll be dancing down the stairs like Joker. Because, yeah. See, Sinora.
Yeah.
Because it's a play. We just see. He wasn't arguing with the screen anymore. He stopped arguing with the screen. That's what Jesus told me. He wasn't arguing with the screen. He was even playful in the back room. You saw at the end. I'm giving it away if you haven't seen it. What do you call that? Alert? Spoiler alert. That's okay. You know what the spoiler alert we want to have is? Here's the spoiler alert. Infinite light. There's the spoiler alert. That the only spoiler alert worth having. So here's the spoiler alert. He's that last scene. You wouldn't understand. Because he saw the light, that it was all a dream. But bloody footprints and all at the end. He's hilarious. He's playing in the end. You see him running? He was just playing back there, running from the guard. You saw that was all a play. So it's a play. That's all Jesus is showing us. Jesus, am I innocent? He said, you just probably won't believe me until you spend some time with me. Because all of consciousness is a play not to believe Jesus. Let's ask. In the light of divine being, is consciousness a play not to believe Jesus? Not to believe we're already saved? That it's done? Is consciousness a play to withhold the experience of innocence from ourselves? Through desire and guilt and blame and projection and trying to find out who done it to a me. The good thing about Joker is if you look at him and you watch him, nobody was doing anything to him. He wasn't, well, okay, he went into a little bit into it about, his mother. He wasn't quite. But I mean, it was so honest around here because a couple of people mentioned, I do feel like at times wanting to stick a fork in my brother, that's honesty. Then it's on the table. He just moved into it. That was a glorious scene where he just all that. And then all of a sudden he goes, kisses the next guy on the head. Now, if that's not the deepest play of consciousness right there, it just plays violence and then love and violence and love. And see, it's the play. And we don't know anything about that play, really. Yeah, so he's telling me to talk about this. Okay. So I might have mentioned, okay, so after I've been coaching in the mids prison for a while, there were two guys that graduated from my class, and I ran into them after class a couple of time after, and they were talking about the class and how they had gotten a lot out of the class, and we were doing an interview and taping the interview, and in the interview, this is for me, I can see this is to really look so deeply at this. And one of them said, both of them actually said, I said, what are you in here for? Well, I was with someone that accidentally died. Now they're in for, one was in for supposedly killing 2 people. See, in the storyline. And the other one was in for killing someone. Okay, killing. What's killing? Let's just find out what that is. But at the time, like I could, like my head almost, I couldn't process that. The idea of killing. See, there was still an idea in the mind that killing was a body. Like you could kill a body. So it was just, and then I could hear that I was to go back in that prison and call them for coaching. Now that's a miracle in of itself. You just don't walk into a prison and call beings down. If they're in your class, you can call them down. So that was given by Holy Spirit. But that's another thing where, am I to do this? You know how these things you don't, and so you call the mighties. I didn't know they were mighties, but I see how mighty they are now. You said, yes, you go in. And my major professor from graduate school said to me, Kay, we're always killing something. Some things always seem bigger than others. Now, if that's not the most profound thing that anybody could say in this world, we're all killing something. We're all choosing the death to the light in the play of consciousness. Yet if we don't see that as innocence, we will feel really bad. So I got my car. So I called them down for coaching sessions. And that was back to back. I don't know what else. So I'm thinking, like, what do I say? And like, I'm driving to the prison, boy, this is why we have to override fear. Do you see? And follow Jesus. Even when you don't even know you're following him, follow him anyway. And I cried my eyes out that whole, oh my God, what am I going to say? Oh my God, help me, what am I going to do? So I get to the prison. And of course it's that, every movie has this where you go in and there's 2 doors, where you go in the one door and it clangs and the other door clangs and you're on the other, in the middle, before it opens to let you through. So, I take the little ride to the back and I sit down in there and it's like, Jesus, what am I going to say? I wasn't talking to Jesus actually at that time. I was just kind of going, oh my God, what am I going to say? And it just, God took over. God took over. In the whole conversation, the first guy came in and I just said, well, if there was something I kind of noticed that, and I have these thoughts about him, and would you talk about it? And we talked about killing and the desire for killing. And it just evolved naturally into forgiveness. Because the mind was open to see another way. See, it's just natural for us to see another way. Sounds like a big deal to go up there. Now I see it's no big deal at all. Jesus says, you can do anything that I ask. And the real gift, so many gifts in that, by following, the gifts are legion. Because the second guy came in and I told him the same thing. He says, I'll listen to anything you have to say. Was like, okay. And so I asked him, I said, well, what belief made it okay to kill somebody? And he said, I felt that was the only way. I believed that was the only way. If that isn't the entire Course in Miracles in his one sentence, it's not killing bodies. Ask Jesus, is this about killing bodies? This is about killing the light within us. This is killing my, if I could not see the light in a brother, to walk in there and to have faith in God and to be guided in what to say. And when you don't know what to say, and just say what Jesus tells you. And that we can all hear him walking up. Any of us could walk in and do that, because we can do everything because we are the Son of God. And our bodies are only here to be used by him for his purposes. It's like the miracles, you don't even know what happened. What happened? How did that even happen? I don't know. It's just saying yes. And then they give me the gift. Like then you can accept the gift from your brother. Glorious gifts from those men. Oh my God. The cutest little things you've ever seen. When I see them. Adorable. Actually, every one of them, I just fall in love over and over and over again because I was falling in love with me. I was seeing the Christ in myself through them. And that's what we do every time we join, is we're stepping into it. We're stepping into it. Stepping past the idea we have of who we are to follow the light. And he's saying, and that was great mind train, light track, lead with the light. Lead with the light. Join together and lead with the light. Start with the light within, just like he says. Now, I'm going to mention, so it was wonderful and I loved it, but I could see when I left the prison, I was still in prison. See, as long as there's an idea that there's someone outside that you're coaching too, so it was very helpful and it served its purpose. That even the idea that someone's outside of us that we're helping, that has to go. Ask Jesus. That there's somebody outside to help. He says that denies that giving and receiving are one. All there is divine expression, total, whole, and complete by speaking his words. That's all there is in terms of divine being. Divine being expressing totally as it is, as long as there's an idea or a feeling that there's other, it's death. Ask Jesus. It's death. But see and ask him now, Jesus, do I have the divine power to transcend this? He'll tell you easily, because you're given everything by the Father. We just need to accept it and cease to deny it, and be willing to look at all the denials and not fall for the kerfuffling, the stories, and see that we're the ones that, here's the court of innocence, and we're the ones that putting our hands on the door and walking outside and going down the hall to the court of where we're shaking our own finger at ourselves. We're sitting we're the judge and relishing judgment. Ask him, Jesus, do I go into that courtroom and relish judgment? What a play. But he's here to help us with all of that. And every day, as I just for here, like the gratitude of having Jesus's voice, you start dusting the welcome mat out, laying flowers out. Come on, Jesus, it's for you. Come on in. Leaving cookies and milk on the mat. So he comes in and helps us. It's fun. It's so fun. And every story can be used by love. It just needs to be retranslated for the purposes to serve love. So that our storyline, whatever it plays like, it becomes playful and light and simple. And then we serve as Christ. That's all. We just shine like little beacons of light. That's it. Is that our only function, Jesus? Ask him. My function, just go around like a little light beacon. He says, I wouldn't have it any other way. Amen. There's the light brigade. This is the light brigade, all this. Amen, Jesus. Thank you.